Alright, so today I'm going to be doing a repotting of this Juniper procumbens. It's not in its final form. I only got it out of a plastic growing pot after 4 or 5 years last year and put it in a larger bonsai container, as you can see. And we're going to do some heavy structural pruning. And while we're at it, we're going to give it a nice root trim. And we're going to use the Rocky Point succulent and cacti mix to do the repotting with, and that will be the final soil. I'll add a tiny little bit of fertilizer to it, but otherwise it's going to be that potting mix doing the job for the next 12 months for this tree. We're ready, got our trusty branch cutters, and we're definitely going to do some branch cutting in the video because I'm going to change the whole orientation of the tree. So I'm going to lose this big branch here, which I'll tidy up later. And I'm going to save this branch and see if I can get some cuttings out of it. It's right at the start of spring, the first week of spring at the moment. So perfect time for doing cuttings. So you can sort of see the size of the mass that I'm taking off there. And just tidy that area up a little bit. Add some beeswax to feel the wound. I'm looking at the new front of the tree. It's actually not bad. Not bad as is. Happy with that branch, but I'll leave it there for the time being. Trim off any downward growing growth. Pretty windy today. Actually get a bit of wire. Wire up this lower branch. I'll come back. It's not a perfect wiring masterclass. I'll come back to it later and tidy it up. Better position. This guy also needs to be wired up. It's just a bit of rough wiring at the moment. Wiring it pretty loose because there's a growing season, so I don't want the wire to strangle the branch. There's probably some bonsai purists out there going, wow, look at your shit wiring, but it's going to do the job. I've been doing this for, I think figured out the other day, it's about 27 years I've been doing bonsai. So I kind of am definitely not a master by any means, but I've probably got about 60 trees. So I kind of got a little bit of an idea anyway what I'm doing. So I think that's going to do for the moment. I'll probably train this branch to grow around this way a little bit. At the moment, it's actually looking decent. Yeah, I'll probably do from a wiring perspective and pruning. These branches up at the same time. Yeah, just always probably. It's just a rough wire, and I'll come back and fix it later. Starting to look like a tree. A bit more structure than what it had before. They always look a bit lean after you repot them. So about another month or so, you've got to kind of imagine what the growth would look like. Might lose that branch, I'm not sure. Let's go. It's a bit big. Back branch is actually a bit big. So I found the benefits with the succulent and cacti mix is it's really free draining. which is a prerequisite for bonsai. It holds nutrient well. It holds water without too much, without staying too wet. Lots of these trees, if they get their roots too wet, they can get root rot. They can have all sorts of diseases. So I'm just trying to look at this tree from where I think its true front is. But yeah, I've been really happy with the succulent and cacti mix. Had really good results over the past 12 months. I'm pretty happy with that as a concept at the moment. I'm going to remove it from the pot. I'm going to give the pot a real quick clean. I'll be back in a moment. So we've given the pot a real quick clean. I'm going to fill the bottom layer of the pot with cacti and succulent mix. Now this pot is a bit oversized for the tree, and it is because I still want this tree to grow out a bit. I still want the branches to thicken up. I want it to get new growth. I'm not trying to restrict it too much, but at the same time, I do want it to train in a bonsai pot, so we can get its roots basically flaring outwards at the base. And the Japanese term is called nabari, where the roots grow outwards and it gives the tree a good appearance of age. You can tell I've got shitloads of weeds here. And what I'm going to try and do is just scrape get these weeds out. Now I've got a trusty old fork bent over as a root rake, but you can equally purchase a good root rake online or from your bonsai nursery, and it will probably do a pretty similar job, I guess. I've never had a proper root rake. Always had a fork. A cheapskate. So I'm pretty well taking away the top layer, which contains the majority of the weeds and the roots for the weeds. So let's do that. I'm getting down to the root section of the bonsai. It probably looks pretty vicious, but this time of year, start of spring, you can be a bit vicious with your trees. You can go pretty hard when it comes to pruning both your branches and your roots, particularly this species. It's the perfect time of year. Figs and the like, those sort of more tropical type species, they probably go a bit better in summer. And I've already done all of my deciduous trees through the end of winter for this year. So finish getting rid of some of this stuff. And you can see how dense the roots are. And this is not, that's the actual roots of the tree, the fine roots of the tree, not the roots of the weeds. Sort of gives you an idea. It's not root bound, but it's probably, it's a good time to repot it so it can continue to get stronger. But that gives you a good idea of the growing power of the cacti and succulent mix. Underneath, you sort of got some excess soil and a little bit of fertilizer still left there. So it does have a little bit of room to move in there, which is exactly what we want for this tree at the moment. We're not trying to restrict its growth too much. But as you can see, I'm just going to be pretty rough with these roots. Sort of tease the fine roots out. Undo that mass of root that's wrapping around the pot. So I'm in southeast Queensland, and we do get really hot summers here. And so as a result, I pretty well use the succulent and cacti mix from Rocky Point straight up. If you're in a cooler area, you might want even more drainage, and you could add some other medium, some drainage medium to your soil to drain even quicker, so you don't get that moisture build up. Thank you, back. So, clean scissors. Just cut around the perimeter of the tree. Actually not looking too bad. I'm just going to throw out these roots underneath. A bit more stuff. Alright, I think we're pretty well there in terms of root pruning. I'm happy with how it's gone. Just in this section a little. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give it a real quick blast with the hose on top. I'm not going to take too much soil away. Just going to give it a real quick blast, and that way it'll actually uncover the weed roots. If there's any weed roots left, they're different colour to the actual tree roots. I'll quickly pluck them out, and then we'll get into potting them up. So we're giving a bit of a wash up, and you can see I haven't really disturbed the root mass on, maybe taking a centimetre of dirt away on the top, just to expose the roots of the bloody weeds. Get rid of that. Now I'm just going to start positioning it in the pot as I kind of want it to look. I might just have to take off just a little bit more root mass over this side to get it to fit. Yeah, that look pretty good. Okie doke. So, a bit more soil. I'm going to put a bit of chicken shit in. A bit of fertilizer. Something I've always done. 27 years. I'm not entirely sure what it does in terms of tree health, but I'm pretty sure it helps propagate root growth when you've got your roots growing downwards instead of putting fertilizer on the top. If you put your fertilizer towards the bottom of the actual bonsai pot, my thought process is the roots are going to try and seek it out, so you're going to get better root growth. Not sure if there's any science behind that, or if it's just something that's I've convinced myself of. Just trying to get the positioning right. Doesn't look too bad at all. soil, and we'll get our final positioning and give it a bit of water in. Chopstick. What we're going to do is we're going to start. There is a term for this, I can't remember what it's called, but effectively we're compacting the soil around the tree. We're trying to take out the voids of air, which can harbour diseases, pests, and all that sort of thing. Also unhealthy for your tree if it's having to contend with big voids of air through your soil mix. So I'm going to spend a bit of time doing this. Just going through compacting. I'll show you the front. It's not done yet, but just to give you a bit of an idea of the transformation with the tree. So I've just changed the front position was facing this way before, and now I've changed the tree around about probably 30 to 45 degrees in the pot, standing it up slightly as well, and had to change the branch positions to sort of suit the new orientation in the pot. I'll quickly finish compacting and repotting here. I reckon we'll get a fair few cuttings out of that. Not that I need any more bonsai trees. It's pretty hard when you have a nice species like Juniper to just throw, you know, like chunky pieces like that into the bin. I've actually got some cuttings from a couple of years back that have taken. So this tree, I originally bought it in a plastic growing pot from a bonsai nursery. I think I paid like $10 or $12 for it, and it would have been, I don't know, the pot was very small, maybe like that, maybe a bit bigger than that size. And then I've gradually just grown in plastic pots. And yeah, last year was its first year into this pot, into a bonsai style pot. And I'm pretty happy with the way that it's coming. But with bonsai, everything's about patience and having a vision of what a tree looks like, which it can change along the way. And yeah, just trying to get the most out of it. So yeah, I really like the feel of this succulent and cacti mix here. It's a pretty decent amount of sand content. Doesn't have too much garbage in it, but yeah, I can tell it's going to promote quite a lot of growth, and we're going to avoid issues with not draining enough. turn this around before I go and give it a bit of a drink. You guys can have a bit of a look. Sorry about the mess. Here's the tree. With nice fresh potting mix. Give it a little bit of a water. I'll put some moss around it and some decorative pebbles. Good to go. Alright, so there we go guys. Put a bit of moss on it. Got some gravel moving a bit closer so you can have a bit of a look. And yeah, not a perfect tree yet, but definitely on its way, and hoping for a really good 12 months growing year, and I'm sure I'll get it with the Rocky Point succulent cacti mix.